A miracle is often denoted as an event attributed to divine intervention. It is beyond human nature. It is supernatural. We have many events that are of the supernatural right here in the Mount Canaan Baptist Church. Journey with us through miracles in Canaan.
My name is Latoya Bonner.
I was kind of puzzled because she called me one evening and said, "Mama, I feel something and I don't think it's supposed to be there. Come up here and see." And I went up to her home and she laid on the bed and I felt it. I said, "No, that's not supposed to be there. You need to call the doctor." And she did.
I went to the doctor and she thought that it was a hernia. So she referred me to a surgeon, and on October the 10th of 2011, I actually found out it was not a hernia, it was a desmoid tumor in my abdomen.
The doctor came out. I looked in his face and I knew that it was something else other than what he had thought he would find. And so from that moment on, I just said, "God, you know about my baby." And so here we go, just like that.
My initial response, I think, was cancer and just kind of shocked because I didn't know how something like that could happen to me. I mean, of course I know it can happen to anybody, but it's just like, why is this happening to me? How serious is it? And mainly, is it gonna kill me? I really just didn't know how it was gonna change my life. We went in thinking it was something that was supposed to be a 2-week surgery and, something that was only supposed to keep me down for 2 weeks. And it turned out that it took me 4 months to finish just with surgeries alone, and that didn't even include the radiation that was gonna follow. Radiation really was, it was difficult. Initially starting out, I had to go Monday through Friday. I had to go for 5.5 weeks. And when I would go, I was only there for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And it didn't hurt at all, but what it actually does after the fact is really where all of the, where the pain and everything of what radiation actually involves, that's when you feel it. It's not during the process, it's after it's done. So for the first couple of weeks, I was fine. And then as time progressed, I would, become more and more tired because, of course, I was still working. I was still going to grad school. I was still trying to do my daily activities. And, so I would get more tired. But after 5.5 weeks, it really left a big burn on my stomach, and it wasn't good at all. I didn't like anything touching me. I didn't want anything touching me because the burn from the radiation was so bad.
I've always told people that I'm crazy enough to believe whatever God has promised to me, that's what He do. I'm a prayer warrior, and I don't take my prayer life for granted. And so I asked the God to just give me strength to be of support to Latoya and to Omar. And whatever he wanted me to do, that's what I was going to do. So I stepped on faith, and I put my trust in Him even the more.
After my second surgery, which was the biggest one I had, was November 8th of 2011, and they actually took out my part of my abdominal muscle. So I lost a lot of my core that a lot of people, I think, take for granted. It helps you do everything. So even the simplest things, laughing, coughing, sitting up, sitting down, standing up, walking, all of those things were, I had to kind of relearn how to do it because I no longer had those muscles to help support me. I also had to have an NG tube placed in that went from my nose all the way down to my stomach. I developed something called ileus, which is basically where your bowel almost kinds of paralyzes and doesn't function. So I would, vomit up anything that was there, and it couldn't come out. And so I remember them telling me, we got to give you an NG tube. I called my mom. I was hysterical. I was like, they about to put this tube down me. You got to get up here. They was getting ready to put the tube in literally when my mama was walking through the door. And that was just total torture to me. It was the worst thing of my life. When I went through that, after they put the tube in, I didn't talk to anybody. I wouldn't say anything. And it wasn't that I couldn't talk. I just didn't want to. I had nothing to say, so I would write stuff down and stuff like that. And I remember calling Eula Gibson. I call her my mom affectionately. And I asked her to sing me a song. I just asked her to sing me a song. And so she sent me a recording of her singing It Is Well With My Soul. And this is on a Sunday morning before church. And she sent it to me, and when I heard it, I just started crying in my hospital bed. I just started crying because it really was well with my soul. And I called her to tell her thank you, still with the NG tube. Now, mind you, I haven't said a word to anybody. And I started talking. And I said, Mom, I'm talking. And it meant so much. And she'll never know, and I tell her all the time, she will never know what that did for me, because it really was well with my soul. That very same Sunday, VOT was singing, and Andrea song Secret Place, and I was streaming in from the hospital, and she was singing it like I've never heard her sing it before, at least in my opinion, never like she sang it before. And it did so much for me, to know that I could go to my secret place and that God would hear my cry. Not long after that service was over, they came in with the news that they were going to take the NG tube out. I only had it for about 24 hours. But they came and they took it out, and not long after they took it out, Pastor Jordan came in, and it made me feel so good to know that I had, been through that. I watched the whole service with that NG tube in me, and it was the worst thing of my life. But to know that before the service was even over, the NG tube was coming out, it was just such a relief, it was just such a blessing to me to know that, even during that roughest time for me throughout this whole thing, that I still chose to worship God. I still streamed in. I still, I didn't let my situation stop my relationship with God and still worshiping how I could. So that it was even harder after the fourth surgery, actually. I kind of developed ileus again, and they were threatening to put an NG tube down, and I didn't really care how many times they stuck me, how many times they cut me open. I did not want that tube. And I remember my mom calling Pastor Jordan and him coming up to the hospital and him telling me that it was all about my perspective. While I was looking at the NG tube like it was going to hurt me, that it was the worst pain of my life, he told me maybe I should look at it from a perspective of healing. And that NG tube would heal me, it would help me get better and would help me get home faster. So we prayed, and needless to say, I did not need the NG tube again, thank God. But at that point, it was almost like even if I did, I looked at it from more of a helping me perspective and helping me get better or closer to my healing than I did as far as it hurting me and, keeping me in my current state. Goodness, the shout outs from the pulpit, I felt like a star.
He been too good to you.
I choose to worship.
He made a way out of no way.
I choose.
You gotta choose. If you start worshiping him right where you are, right in front of your screen, right in front of the computer, something will happen.
It really, I know it. To know that we have so many people there, and for Pastor Jordan to just take the time just to think about me, for me to know that I could text him and my mom could call him. He came and saw me several times. TJ came with them a couple of times to come see me or whatever. I got so many. I could not tell you how many cards I got. Some people sent 2 and 3 cards. during the time that I was out, but the cards I got, the flowers, the money, just the prayers, the Facebook messages, the texts, the phone calls, that really is what kept me fighting. That's what kept me going, because I knew that I had people who cared about me and people who were really praying for me. I had to be strong for it because I knew that people were watching. And more than anything is I just wanted to live and be a witness that God will sustain you, and that if you just fight and do, you know, what he tells you to do and stand on his word, that he'll see you through to the end.
That God is able to heal, not even just physical, but a lot of times after the physical scars and pains have left, there's still mental healing that needs to be done, emotional healing, financial healing, and God is able. I preached a few Sundays ago, the healer of issues, and God is that.
No matter how long it seems like it's taken, to just hold on, because God will sustain you and he will make a miracle out of you. Of course I believe in miracles because I feel that I am a miracle.
And then gunshots.
My sister was telling me to move. As soon as I turned my head to look at her and about to get up, the bullet came through the window and shot me and struck me in the head. I remember crying, falling on my knees and praying and crying, telling God not to take my life now.
We want God to know, and we want this community to know that we love God enough that if he wants to use our son as an example to reach others, we're willing.